degree in for Muslims to sell cigarettes, because in the southern Philippines, Muslims were involved to a large degree in importing, actually smuggling, cigarettes into the country and selling it. And I pointed out to them there that because, according to Islamic law, smoking, the use of tobacco, the smoking of tobacco is prohibited, then it becomes prohibited to sell cigarettes. It doesn't mean that the growing of tobacco or the sale of tobacco in and of itself is prohibited. However, if one grows tobacco for the production of cigarettes, one sells tobacco to a company which is producing cigarettes, then this sale is haram. The Western scientists have discovered that the protein content in tobacco leaves is higher than most other plants. So if they develop a mode by which the protein can be extracted from the leaves of the tobacco plant, and this can be reconstituted in the form of food, which will be high in protein, this is one means of relieving much of the food crisis which exists in the world today. However, people, because this just goes to show you that when Allah creates something, there is use in it. Because people may use it in a haram manner, it doesn't mean that it has no halal use. Where it is used in halal, it is halal. Where it is used in haram, it is haram. And as such, we can see from what science has now discovered that there is great benefit in tobacco, but not in the form in which it is used today. The hadith in the second part went on to say that the best of earnings is not only from a blessed sale, one which has been blessed by Allah because of the honesty involved, but also that which is the product of a man's hands, his own hands. In other words, what we call hard labor, where a person is involved in planting or reaping or making crafts, these type of things. The product which comes out of this kind of effort, when such a product is sold, it is blessed by Allah. In other words, what he's saying here, Islam puts great emphasis on labor and encourages people as much as possible to be involved in that productive process. There has to be, to some degree, middlemen, the ones who purchase from the laborer and sell to buyers. But it does not encourage that area as much as it encourages the production. Why? Because the tendency to cheat, etc., this is more, it tends to be greater, much greater in the middleman. And what the middleman does is he raises the prices. He tends to try to control the market, raising the prices, forcing the buyers to give him whatever price he wants. Whereas if the buyers are able to go directly to the source of the production, they are able to get it at a cheaper price, and it makes for a healthier society. So Islam encourages actually smaller businesses. It's not to say that large businesses are prohibited, but it encourages more and more people involved in the process of production. Because, to a large degree, when a person makes something and sees the product of what he has done, or she has done, it gives a certain satisfaction that one doesn't get from purchasing and selling and purchasing and selling. People take pride, those who are craftsmen, etc., they take pride in the work that they're doing. In America, they make a distinction between what they call blue-collar workers and white-collar workers. Blue-collar have those who are working, hard labor, white collar, or, the clerks, people who are involved in that middle level. And, being known as a white collar worker is sort of a sense of superiority. You're not a blue collar, you're not dealing with your hands, hard labor. There's a tendency to look down on that, whereas Islam reverses it and emphasizes that these people are the people who are most honored. The efforts that they make are the best of efforts. What we find in this society, for example, where money has become plentiful, people have brought in all kinds of workers to do all of the basic work that is needed to be done. Women no longer in their homes are, doing household chores, etc. They have brought in a maid for this, a maid for that, driver to do this, driver. So what happens now is that you find that the society, corruption starts to creep into the society. Because the woman who is at home, who does not involve herself productively within the home, she has all the spare time, then, as happens here, she starts to use that spare time in forbidden means. She gets involved in watching a lot of television, reading books, novels, etc., being concerned with fashions, etc., etc., and quite often these pursuits end up in haram. It creates laziness amongst the children, where in the home, this one is doing all the work which is in the home. The child gets out of bed, it just, gets out, clothes, everything is ready for it, just goes out to school. Doesn't matter, the maid will pick up after it, clean here, so the child isn't involved in any kind of chores or anything. Such a child that is pampered in this way grows up with a scorn for those who work, and you hear it in the expressions of the society, when they talk to people who are doing hard labor, they have different names for them, and, they talk to them in a very scornful manner. Very, very, sad results. People are not really aware of what it is doing to them. It's destroying society, in fact. Al-Miqdam, on one occasion, stated that the Prophet ﷺ said, "No one has eaten a better meal than that which he has earned by working with his own hands." The Prophet of Allah, Dawood, used to eat from the earnings of his own labor. This is the emphasis. Prophet Dawood, among the prophets, used to eat from the earnings of his own labor. We know Prophet Muhammad ﷺ also was involved in trade, taking goods, selling the goods, buying, etc. And we know Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he has been described by his wives as mending his own shoes, sewing patches on his clothes when they needed to. He was involved in very simple chores around the home. What we find here in this hadith also, when the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ used Prophet David as an example, he was showing the superiority of manual labor. Because David, Prophet David, we know, was the king of Israel. Allah had designated him as king. And as a king, obviously, he had no need to work. So for him to deliberately work and eat from the earnings of his work, this is showing, this is an example to the people that it is superior to work and earn a living oneself, rather than to live off the efforts of others. This hadith, and the hadith of the session that we're taking, also